I feel like I'm drooling. I went to the dentist this morning and now my mouth is, yeah, it's numb and yeah, unfortunately had a cavity and this is what happens. Let's get into today's video. let's get into, let's, let's get into, oh gosh. Let's get into to today's video. Let's get into today's video. Let's get into today's video. What's going on, guys? I'm Danny Garcia, and today we're talking about what's in my camera bag when I shoot weddings. Alright, so the first thing I shoot is the 1DX Mark II. That is my primary camera that I use. So they have the newer version is the 1DX Mark III, but I still have the 1DX Mark II, and I loved it. But this thing is a beast of a camera. It's definitely very heavy. So when I first bought it, I heard people saying that it was heavy, but I didn't realize how heavy this thing is. If you decide to get the 1DX Mark II or Mark III, realize it is a very heavy camera. Typically when I'm shooting on the 1DX, I like to shoot on the Canon 24 to 70mm lens. I like this lens just because when I'm shooting by myself, I like to be able to get that wide angle as well as be able to get close-up shots. So being able to zoom into that 70mm is amazing. The next lens that I use is my 85mm Canon lens. It's a 1.4 f-stop. It's that nice shallow depth of field. When I'm shooting ceremonies, I have a couple different cameras that I have set up. I have two different cameras set up on the side. So one's focused on the bride and the other one's focused on the groom. And so on one of them, I have the EOS R5. And so that's usually on a 70 to 200mm lens focused on either the bride or the groom, depending on which side to put it on. And the other one is what I'm actually shooting on. That's the EOS R. And that's also on a Canon 70 to 200mm lens. So the only reason why I have one that's an R5, one that's an R, I eventually was gonna make the R5 my main camera. Talking about the 70 to 200 lenses, I have one that's an RF lens and one that's an EF lens. With that, I know that I have the EOS R and then the EOS R5 shooting on the bride and groom. I just have an adapter for one of them, so I can actually use my 70 to 200 on my 1DX when I need to, but then I just use the adapter to connect it to the EOS R or the EOS R5. So now for drone shots, I use the Mavic Pro 2. So I love this thing. One thing that I would definitely recommend is on this is to make sure that you get the ND filters. On bright days, you're gonna wanna make sure that you have something like this. Especially, you can't just bump up the shutter on a drone because if you do, it looks very jittery. So now when it comes to stabilizing my footage, making sure that I get that buttery, smooth looking footage, I don't typically shoot handheld at any of my weddings. I have before, and that was because I accidentally left my gimbal in the airport. And that's for a different story. But anyways, I have the Ronin RS2. That's what I use for my wedding. I have the original Ronin. I still use that. Now when it comes to audio, I was recommended the Tascam DR10L. Jake Weiser is the one that I saw do a video of this, and he's the one that recommended them. So I love having this. I've got a black one for the groom and a white one for the bride. With the bride, 99% of the time it's gonna be this white dress. Being able to have a white mic hooked up to the bride makes it where it's nice, where it blends in with the dress, and so you don't even notice it. As far as some other accessories I have are multiple batteries. I have multiple memory cards. So usually during a reception, if it's a dark reception, I like to bring my own lighting equipment. And so what I bring is the Core SWX torch lights. You can find these on B&H for about $189. Sometimes you can find sales where you can get 3 of them for almost the price of one, I believe. The other thing I would also mention is they break pretty easily. So on the back where you plug in the battery, there's little plastic pieces that keep the battery intact. And so for me, I have broken 2 of these already, and so I've had to get them replaced. That's one of the cons about having these. However, I do like it because it just makes a huge difference in your footage. Being able to have lighting at your receptions makes all the difference in your footage. Speaking of dark receptions, I'll either be on an 85, a 50, or a 35, depending on what size the reception is. The reason I like that, by having a prime lens, the aperture is able to open up more. Make sure that you invest in having either really good lighting and or having a prime lens. By having both of those, you're gonna be way above the competition. I've seen some footage from photographers and videographers that have had the kit lens going into a reception, and because of that, the pictures and videos turned out horrible. And my friends that had hired these people, they were upset that their stuff was not that high of quality. And that's when I explained to them why some videographers and photographers are more expensive than others, is because they invest in their equipment but because they are investing in their equipment, the photos and videos that they do are so much better. That's all I got, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.